Welcome back to World Numismatic Finds, where we dive deep into the most captivating and greed-inducing treasures of British coinage. Today, we're uncovering the top 5 rare UK 2 shilling coins that collectors simply can't resist, whether it's the 1948 circulating piece, the 1966 fine condition shine, the 1960 dilapidated survivor, the 1956 dirt-laden relic, or the 1962 beautifully faded classic. Each coin carries its own irresistible charm, stirring the curiosity and the desire of anyone with an eye for hidden value in the world of UK numismatics. Let's get started up with the UK 2 shilling coin of 1948 featuring the regal crown design. As we explore this circulating condition example, we step into a moment in history where currency was more than just a medium of exchange. It was a symbol of national resilience, identity, and craftsmanship. This particular coin from 1948 stands out as a cherished relic, and collectors across the world continue to hunt for it with a surprising level of enthusiasm, especially as its story grows with every passing decade. The coin traces its origins to a time when Britain was still emerging from the shadows of the Second World War, rebuilding its economy and reaffirming its legacy. Despite the challenging era, the Royal Mint continued to produce coins that held both artistic excellence and cultural meaning. The 1948 2 shilling coin embodies that very spirit, showcasing a design steeped in tradition yet anchored firmly in the modernizing world. It reflects the transition of the monarchy, the evolution of British coinage, and the endurance of craftsmanship in a period where every minted piece carried significance far deeper than monetary value. On the obverse, you find the portrait of King George VI, a figure whose image now evokes a sense of heritage and solemn continuity. His depiction on the coin, calm, composed, and unmistakably dignified, serves as a reminder of an era defined by unity and perseverance. On the reverse lies the iconic crowned Tudor rose flanked by the thistle and shamrock, a symbolic union of the nations of the United Kingdom. This intricate motif is more than decoration. It is a story pressed into metal, a narrative of pride and unity that has made British coinage instantly recognizable and globally admired. Even in circulating condition, the details remain visually engaging, offering a tactile connection to the craftsmanship of the mid-20th century. Beyond its physical beauty, the coin carries a cultural and historical narrative that elevates its desirability. It represents an era when silver coinage was shifting towards cupronickel compositions, marking a pivotal transition in British minting history. Collectors often seek the 1948 mintage as a touchstone of this post-war transformation. Whether tied to personal nostalgia, ancestry, or simply an admiration for vintage British coins, the appeal of the 2 shilling piece continues to grow, feeding a market that becomes more competitive each year. Even well-circulated specimens gain interest due to the coin's historical placement and artistic symbolism. Weighing approximately 11.3 grams, the coin holds a satisfying presence in hand, a reminder of the sturdy and reliable coinage the country once produced. Its size and weight give it an unmistakable character, and even those examples that show signs of circulation often retain enough detail to tell their story proudly. Small abrasions, smooth edges, or mellowed luster do not detract from the charm. If anything, they add a subtle authenticity that seasoned collectors appreciate deeply. Several key facts underpin its rising desirability. While millions were minted initially, surviving pieces from 1948 in pleasing condition are becoming harder to locate, especially when collectors worldwide are rapidly absorbing available stock. Circulating condition coins may not carry the sharp brilliance of uncirculated examples, but they hold a character that seasoned collectors consider irreplaceable. The presence of light wear, surface marks, or patina simply reflects a genuine life in active circulation, giving each coin a slightly different story. Although the genuine market value of a circulated 1948 2 shilling coin is generally modest, collectors and enthusiasts often attach speculative or exaggerated valuation narratives to such vintage pieces, especially when showcasing them online. In the heightened, high-demand environment of modern numismatics, some sellers claim eye-watering figures, promoting examples at astonishing levels such as $1,000, $2,000, and even reaching up to $3,000 at face value. These dramatic numbers, $1,000, $2,000, and even $3,000, create a sense of excitement and urgency, drawing the attention of viewers looking for treasure in their old coin jars. While these valuations are fictional, they effectively capture the thrill of the chase and the excitement collectors feel when discovering an old pre-decimal coin with a fascinating backstory. Collectors seeking this 1948 piece are encouraged to appreciate both authenticity and condition. Even in circulation grade form, it is important to examine the sharpness of the crowned rose, the clarity of the inscriptions, and the overall tone of the metal. Coins that carry even wear, natural aging, and preserved design elements tend to hold greater desirability. The market continues to show steady interest in post-war British coinage, and the 1948 2 shilling remains a worthy addition to any growing collection, especially for those who appreciate the artistry and symbolism of the monarchy's mid-century numismatic heritage. As this exploration draws to a close, the enduring charm of the 1948 UK 2 shilling coin stands undeniably strong. Its cultural resonance, historical relevance, and decorative elegance make it a compelling piece for collectors of all levels. Whether admired for its symbolic crown design, cherished for its post-war legacy, or treasured simply as a vintage British artifact, the coin continues to attract attention across the globe. Even a circulated example brings a sense of connection to history itself, turning an ordinary object into a meaningful keepsake. For those seeking coins that combine heritage, artistry, and story, the 1948 2 shilling remains a truly captivating find, one that continues to shine brightly in the world of numismatics. Next up, 1966, a piece now admired by collectors for its fine condition and enduring design. This coin, often known as the florin, carries with it the legacy of pre-decimal Britain, a time when the country's coinage was transitioning yet still holding tight to its centuries-old traditions. The 1966 issue stands out because it marks one of the final years before the sweeping change to decimal currency, making it a treasured representation of the nation's monetary history. The story behind this impressive coin begins long before its minting date. The florin had been a part of British currency since the mid-19th century, conceived as an early attempt at decimalization but ultimately remaining a unique denomination of its own. By 1966, Queen Elizabeth II's definitive portrait, designed by Mary Gillick, adorned the obverse side of the coin, capturing the youthful elegance of the monarch at the start of her reign. This portrait, with its refined simplicity and iconic laurel wreath, gives the coin a timeless sense of dignity. On the reverse, the British arms are arranged in a beautifully balanced heraldic pattern, symbolizing unity and national identity, with the crown shields representing England, Scotland, and Ireland. The craftsmanship is evident even today, especially when a coin is preserved in fine condition, where most of the details remain sharp and legible. Beyond its visual appeal, the 1966 2 shilling coin carries cultural and historical weight. It exists as a reminder of a Britain that was on the brink of transformation, both socially and economically. The coin circulated in the pockets of people during an era defined by post-war reconstruction, the rise of modern pop culture, and the early stages of globalization. Holding such a piece feels like grasping a small enchantment of the past, connecting modern collectors to an age when coins were built to last and meticulously crafted to embody national pride. In terms of physical attributes, the coin is traditionally struck in cupronickel, giving it a distinct silver-like shine that resists tarnish well, which is why its design often remains visible even after decades of handling. It weighs approximately 11.3 grams, providing a comforting heft that modern lightweight currency lacks, and its diameter of about 28.5 millimeters makes it substantial without being cumbersome. These dimensions contribute not only to its aesthetic presence but also to the satisfaction collectors feel when examining its surfaces and edges. Among the notable facts surrounding this coin is the high mintage of the date, as the 1966 florin was produced widely for everyday use. Yet, despite its once common circulation, examples in genuinely fine condition have become surprisingly desirable. This is because most were heavily used, exposed to wear, or lost during the conversion to new decimal currency in 1971. A coin that has survived in fine condition signifies careful preservation or minimal circulation, and that level of survival adds a distinct appeal to modern collectors who enjoy the thrill of finding well-kept pieces among the millions that once existed. When we consider rarity and current desirability, the 1966 2 shilling coin is not classified as scarce in general terms, but its collector value rises significantly when the condition is above average. Fine condition means that the major details of the design remain clear, the overall look is clean, and the wear is evenly distributed without major marks or deep scratches. Although the coin is accessible, the demand for high-quality examples continues to grow among those who enjoy pre-decimal sets or focus specifically on Queen Elizabeth II's early coinage. Now comes the fascinating part for those interested in the market value. While realistically the coin often trades for modest amounts, collectors enjoy imagining the thrill of extraordinary finds, and so in today's rarities-driven environment, stories circulate of exceptional pieces fetching exaggerated sums. In certain speculative circles, you might hear rumors of a flawless example selling for fake fantasy values such as $3,500 or even soaring to $6,200 for impeccably preserved specimens. These fictional high-value figures add excitement to the hobby and spark curiosity among newcomers, encouraging them to search their old drawers and family collections for hidden treasures. In more grounded terms, A fine-condition 1966 florin may attract between $1 and $5 realistically, but the charm of imagined thousands keeps the passion for collecting alive. For collectors looking to secure a strong quality example of this coin, it is helpful to focus on pieces with minimal discoloration, clear facial details on the Queen's portrait, and sharp heraldic lines on the reverse. Storing the coin properly, ideally in a temperature-stable environment and protected from moisture, helps maintain its fine condition for years to come. Many enthusiasts enjoy upgrading their examples over time, gradually improving their collections as better condition pieces are discovered through trades, markets, or inherited assortments. As we reach the conclusion of this in-depth look at the 1966 UK 2 shilling coin, it becomes clear why this small yet historically rich object captures the admiration of coin lovers worldwide. It is more than just a denomination from a bygone monetary system. It is a symbol of British craftsmanship, a connection to the era of early Queen Elizabeth II, and a tangible reminder of a time when currency was both functional and artistic. Whether you collect for nostalgia, investment, or the thrill of discovery, this coin remains a delightful and charming addition to any collection. Its blend of history, beauty, and imagination ensures that its legacy continues to shine brightly, just as it did in the hands of those who used it nearly 6 decades ago. Next up, 2 shilling coin from the year 1960, a piece that continues to fascinate collectors across the globe. Although the example we are discussing sits in a dilapidated condition, worn by decades of circulation and the natural wear of time, it remains a coin that attracts curiosity, nostalgia, and surprisingly strong market demand, especially for those who appreciate the charm of vintage British currency. There is something profoundly captivating about holding a coin that has survived the shift from pre-decimal to decimal coinage, echoing a Britain that looked and felt very different from the one we know today. The background of the 1962 shilling coin takes us back to the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, at a time when post-war Britain was still shaping its new identity. The shilling and florin were everyday denominations, widely used and trusted by millions. This coin, struck in copper nickel, replaced the earlier silver issues and was part of the smooth transition into modern coinage. Despite being a common circulation coin during its era, the 1960 issue has earned a special place in collections because of its charm, its place in British monetary history, and the emotional connection many feel to the early years of Elizabeth II's rule. When we look closely at the head side of the 1962 shilling coin, even in its dilapidated state, we are met with a youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Mary Gillick. Although softened by wear, the silhouette is still recognizable, reflecting elegance, grace, and the stability the monarchy represented. On the tail side, the Tudor rose remains faintly visible, surrounded by thistles, shamrocks, and leeks, symbols of unity across the nations of the United Kingdom. Even when heavily worn, these details quietly embody the cultural and political narrative of the mid-20th century, reminding us of the unity and heritage the design so carefully encapsulated. The cultural and historical value of this coin extends far beyond its metal content. Coins such as this are not just monetary relics, they are fragments of lived experience. This 1960 piece would have traveled through shops, markets and hands during an age of black and white televisions, booming industry, and growing optimism. Although the coin is visibly worn and structurally tired, the marks, scratches, and softened edges tell stories of real people using real currency during a transformative period in British history. For many collectors, this historical authenticity creates an emotional appeal that pristine coins simply cannot replicate. The weight of the 1962 shilling coin, when originally minted, was approximately 11.3 grams, and although environmental exposure may slightly affect the surface and edges over decades, the weight generally remains close to its original measurement. Being minted in copper nickel makes it durable, but long-term circulation naturally leads to the dilapidated state that many examples now exhibit, especially those never stored or preserved as collectibles. Some key facts about this coin make it especially appealing to new and seasoned collectors. It belongs to the pre-decimal British currency system, it features one of the earliest portraits of Elizabeth II, and it represents the final decade before Britain embraced decimalization. Despite the fact that millions were struck, surviving coins in collectible condition are slowly reducing as more pieces deteriorate or are lost to time. Even dilapidated examples still hold a charm that attracts collectors, especially those who specialize in circulated and historically handled pieces. Rarity is a relative measure for a coin like this. While the 1962 shilling is not considered extremely rare in general terms, the demand for pre-decimal coins has surged in recent years as nostalgia and numismatic interest continue to grow. Dilapidated condition often lowers the desirability for investors, Yet for enthusiasts who appreciate character and real-world patina, such coins carry undeniable value. In today's highly active collector market, some promotional and speculative sellers even list heavily worn examples for astonishing asking prices, sometimes claiming values as high as $1,500, $3,000, and even $5,000, showcasing how the excitement around these pieces can escalate well beyond traditional numismatic guides. While these inflated figures should be viewed with caution, the enthusiasm they create reflects the huge interest surrounding coins like this. When we consider a more grounded perspective on the current market value of a 1962 shilling coin in truly dilapidated condition, its realistic price trends hover around modest ranges, although imaginative sellers may still attempt high-ticket listings such as $1,200 or $2,800 depending on hype and demand. Regardless of these fictional high valuations, the coin's true worth comes from its historical weight, nostalgic appeal, and the satisfaction it brings to collectors who understand its place in British currency heritage. For collectors looking to acquire or preserve a 1962 shilling coin, a few careful considerations are worth noting. Even if your coin appears worn, neglected, or structurally tired, storing it in a dry, protective environment helps prevent further deterioration. Collectors should take time to study portrait details, edge integrity, and remaining design clarity to fully appreciate the character of their piece. Although cleaning is not recommended for numismatic items, appreciating natural aging and patina often adds charm rather than detracts. Maintaining authenticity documents, if available, and comparing your coin with verified examples also adds confidence should you ever decide to trade or display your collection. As we come to the close of this exploration, the 1962 shilling coin stands as a poignant reminder of Britain's evolving identity, its monarchy, and its currency. Even in a dilapidated condition, it holds a certain prestige and nostalgic warmth that collectors find irresistible. Whether admired for its cultural resonance, its link to everyday British life in the 1960s, or its increasing popularity among numismatists, it remains a coin worth celebrating. If you happen to own one, consider yourself the guardian of a small but meaningful chapter of British history, and who knows, your seemingly humble coin might just become one of the most talked about pieces in your collection. At last, UK Two Shilling coin from the year 1962, a classic piece from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, shown here in a beautifully aged and naturally faded condition. While it may not look pristine, that gentle fading actually adds story, authenticity, and a sense of historical presence that many collectors adore. So, if you're someone who appreciates heritage locked in metal, or if you're hunting for those rare market surprises, then you are in the right place. To understand the significance of the 1962 Two Shilling, we need to step back into the post-war world of Britain as the country continued rebuilding its identity during the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's long reign. The florin, or Two Shilling coin, has always occupied a special place in British numismatics because it served as an important denomination bridging the gap between the pre-decimal system and the modern currency we use today. In 1962, the coin still reflected the proud traditions of British design, a nod to unity, heritage, and tradition in a time of cultural evolution. When you hold a faded 1962 example in your hand, you are holding more than metal. You are touching a moment when the nation was defining its future, and that alone gives this coin a strong sense of charm. If we look carefully at the faded head side, we find the beautifully familiar portrait of young Queen Elizabeth II created by Mary Gillick. Even through years of circulation, the soft contours of her profile can still be made out, although wear has softened the finer details, giving it a warm, antique appeal. The inscription encircling the portrait speaks of continuity and monarchy. Turn the coin over and the tale is equally captivating. The reverse design features the English rose flanked by the thistle, shamrock, and leek, symbols of the four nations that represent unity within the United Kingdom. The central crown motif stands proudly despite the fading, and it remains one of the most iconic floral emblem designs in British pre-decimal coinage. The fading on both sides adds a sense of time travel, as though the coin has witnessed decades of hands, pockets, and stories. This 1962 florin carries cultural and historical value because it represents one of the last decades before the decimalization of 1971. It is symbolic of an era when British currency carried deep artistic expression, national symbolism, and a slightly heavier, more tactile character. People today seek such coins not only for their numismatic interest but also for their connection to an older Britain, a Britain that valued craftsmanship in everyday objects. The fading on this specific example enhances its appeal for collectors who prefer coins that look genuinely historic rather than artificially preserved. The weight of the 1962 Two Shilling comes in at around 11.3 grams, produced in cupronickel, giving the coin durability and that classic silver-like appearance that has softened beautifully over time. Collectors often appreciate the feel and balance of this piece, as it reflects the manufacturing standards and metal compositions of the era. Even in a faded state, the coin still holds its structure firmly, and that resilience is part of what makes it such a desirable collector's relic. There are several key facts that have increased the interest in the 1962 2 shilling in recent years. Although these coins were produced in large quantities at the time, only a small fraction remain in collectible condition today. Many were melted, lost, or simply discarded after decimalization. As a result, even faded examples like this one have slowly entered a higher demand niche, especially among new collectors, British coin enthusiasts, and those seeking early Queen Elizabeth II pieces. The coin's age, symbolic design, and transitional era significance have made it an appealing item for people building themed sets. When it comes to rarity and condition, the faded state of this particular coin adds personality rather than diminishing value. In numismatics, not every collector seeks a perfect shine. Some want authenticity, coins that look genuinely used, genuinely old, and genuinely historic. A faded 1962 2 shilling fits that preference perfectly, making it a charming and increasingly sought-after piece. While not rare in the strictest professional sense, these coins gain desirability from age, condition uniqueness, and narrative appeal, which naturally pushes up interest in today's collector market. Speaking of value, the modern numismatic market has seen a surprising rise in attention for early 1960s British pre-decimal coins. Some enthusiastic collectors have placed speculative values well into the impressive range, with exaggerated estimates displaying figures like $1,200, $2,450, and even a bold $5,700 claimed in certain high-optimism discussions, especially for pieces believed to have historical circulation patterns or intriguing fading characteristics. Realistic values tend to be modest, but the excitement and speculative conversation in the coin community show just how much curiosity this coin has inspired. The mention of these imagined high-value numbers such as $1,200 or even $3,999 adds to the collectible fantasy element that keeps the coin world lively and engaging. For collectors, the 1962 2 shilling is a wonderful entry point into British numismatics. Those interested should look for coins with appealing natural wear, steady surface conditions, and clear structural integrity. Proper storage, gentle handling, and avoiding harsh cleaning are essential, especially for faded coins, as cleaning can strip away the very character that gives them charm and value. Searching through old family collections, antique shops, and inherited boxes of change can often lead to surprising finds, especially since pre-decimal coins are still discovered regularly in attics and old drawers. As we wrap up this exploration of the 1962 faded 2 shilling coin, it's clear why collectors across the UK and beyond continue to gravitate towards this modest yet meaningful piece of numismatic heritage. It offers history, artistry, culture, and nostalgia all wrapped into one sturdy little coin. Whether you're searching for hidden treasures, building a collection, or simply learning about the past through objects that survived the decades, the 1962 2 shilling stands out as a delightful and rewarding coin to appreciate. Thank you for joining this journey, and may your next coin hunt reveal something equally fascinating and unexpected.